been flowing.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Another Bourbon Show. Tonight we are going to be drinking another bourbon provided by Ryan. This one's a store pick, and it's a killer store pick. It's a 1792 foolproof. Foolproof?
Foolproof. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
125 proof.
1792 foolproof store pick. That's a Jewel Osco store pick, it seems.
Yes, it is.
Very cool. So, Steven, before we do anything else, what do you think?
This bottle to me is, and you have to view it as a bottle, I think. I'm only going to rate the label itself, but I think the bottle itself looks really cool. From the topper to the font that they use, I think it all looks good as a total package. I think it looks like something that you'd see in a Bond movie sitting on a bar. It just has that sort of, I don't know, sort of mid-century sort of aesthetic to it. It's very sort of almost gaudy and flashy. I like it. I think it looks good. It's like a Great Gatsby type thing as well. So I think it looks good, but the label itself is basic on its own. Although it looks nice. I'll also point out, since it's a store pick, I always like it. I've mentioned this when we did the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked pick. I like when they make it obvious that I'm looking at a store pick. So I like that because of the overall simplicity of the bottle, that sticker really stands out. And I like that the sticker is gold. It fits in with the overall aesthetic. And you can always tell right away, not from a distance, but you can tell right away what version of that bourbon it is, because it'll say whether it's a sweet wheat, full proof, so on and so forth. It tells you right up front, which is good. But again, all those bottles look the same, which dings it a bit for me. That's sort of the mark against 1792, is there's not a huge differentiation from afar, but I'm going to be giving it a 7. I think it's a really solid looking bottle overall, solid looking label, pretty minimalist, but it's a cool aesthetic that's not replicated often.
So, two things I want to add. Number one is the cork could be considered a deadly weapon. That cork is fucking heavy. I mean, it's what, like a pound at least?
No, this is very light.
That one is?
Very light. I mean, yeah, it's very light.
Really?
Maybe it's because of the store pick. Yeah, it's not heavy.
Okay. Typically 1792 cork, like that metal, is heavy. Not as heavy as it's not the heaviest. The heaviest I know of is an Ezra Brooks that's only available at the distillery itself. Those things are like a full 2 pounds.
I was going to say, I've heard about a Lux Row one that's very thick.
Yep. Lux Row, Ezra, that's their company. That thing is wicked heavy. The other thing I was going to say is, Steven, notice that on the 1792, that black strip at the top, just underneath the cork, that tells you it's a foolproof. White is bottled in bond. Orange is sweet wheat, I think. So if you know the colors, you can tell from a distance which exact one it is. You don't need to see the foolproof or the bottled in bond or the sweet wheat or whatever it is.
Okay. That's fair.
Just FYI.
Put that in my errata.
But you gave it a 7.0 anyway, so it's not like you were dinging it for that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clue the listeners in that if you do know like what their colors mean, then you can tell from a distance which one is which.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, if they do that, I thought that could be the case because of that color, but I wasn't aware of that. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a good idea, and obviously they agree.
Yeah, I want to look up what the colors are, because I've got the sweet wheat here, but I don't remember.
Regular bourbon's just red.
Yeah, the small batch is red.
Yeah.
That's a good point there. Bottled in bond, I think, is white.
You know, it's funny. They this brand's no longer with our company. It's something weird with Sazerac, but
they're so weird.
We did a tasting of like this is probably like 4 years ago, maybe even longer, but could have been 5. But they let us taste every single 1792 varietal. And this is before I was like super, super into bourbon. So I tried the sweet wheat, the full proof, the bottling bond, and I didn't even really realize what I was drinking at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So wish I can go back in time and not be an idiot, but I'm an idiot. So
So they've got a port finish that is blue, sweet wheat is orange,
I bet that port
bottled
finish
and
would be
bond
good.
is yellow, single barrel is white, and the 12-year is, I can't see, like a gray. And that's their whole lineup, I think. So 1792 full proof. Ryan already mentioned that it's 125 proof. Rumored to be aged about 8 years, but there's no age statement that says specifically that. Undisclosed mash bill, but rumored to be 75% corn, 15% rye, and 10% malted barley. And the SRP is $45 for the standard off the shelf full proof. However, you're not going to find it. It's going to be very, very unlikely that you'll find it for $45, even for just a standard off the shelf. 1792 has gotten really wrapped up in the Buffalo Trace craze, which makes me really, really, really angry, because the people who go crazy for it say, well, it's almost exactly like Buffalo Trace. And no, it's not at all. They both happen to be owned by Sazerac. That's the only comparison. That's the only similarity between 1792 and Buffalo Trace. They have the same parent company. Just like a Volkswagen is not the same as a Lamborghini, but they're both owned by Volkswagen, the corporation, they're completely different vehicles. They're both completely different distilleries. Both of them are awesome. They both make great stuff, but they shouldn't be compared in any way, shape, or form. I'll get off my soapbox.
Yeah. The
But
only
I
thing
mean,
about this bottle, it's great on the shelf because you could fit a shitload of them on because they're so skinny.
but they're wide.
It's-
Does that matter to
It's
you?
like what I mean. It makes up for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The slenderness of it. It's like
Yeah.
Woodford. You could put like 20 bottles up to the shelf.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
funny
but-
too, because as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, I mean, physically, it's about the same as a Woodford bottle, like as far as space wise, right?
Yeah. Woodford got in the past few years, their bottles actually used to be wider. They actually made them skinnier and a little taller than they used to be. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, what do you say we drink?
Let's do it.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Just what I need.
Hair of the dog. It is it's got a very strong nose to it.
You can tell it's a high
Very
proofer.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That'll singe the
That's
nose
good.
hairs.
Well, let's be
Stings the
honest.
nostrils.
I mean, 125 is a very high proof. Like that's
Oh yeah.
the
Not messing
second or
around.
third highest we've ever had on here on the show.
I think so.
The Stag Junior was higher.
Yeah, Stag Junior is higher. Smoke Wagon Small Batch wasn't as high, I don't think, right?
No, it wasn't.
That's like 121.8 or something.
You mean uncut,
Yeah.
unfiltered, right?
Or uncut, unfiltered,
Yeah.
yeah.
What about the Weller Full Proof?
That's 114.
Yeah. This is probably second to Stag Junior, I imagine.
Yeah, I think you're
I
right.
feel like we're missing one though, but
Yeah, I do
we've done
too.
a lot of bourbons. Oh, whatever.
56 now, if memory serves. Oh, and that doesn't even count the
The multi episodes, yeah.
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 So we're up there.
What do you guys think of the nose? Yeah, it's high proof, but what else?
I mean, you get that. Yeah, you could tell it's a high proof. I get a lot of like vanilla and cherry to it, like dried cherries.
You know, so yeah, you can definitely on the nose, you can tell that it's very high proof, but it's not a negative high proof nose, right? Like
No, I
Like, it
mean
does-
it singes your nose hairs a little bit, but it's packed with smell and it's packed
Yeah.
with flavor as well.
and it's pleasant. It's a
Yeah.
pleasant high alcohol
Yeah,
nose.
this is definitely one of the most interesting noses, I think, on a bourbon that we've drank. I mean, it's very complex. You get that oak, but then you get a little sweetness, you know?
Uh-huh.
It's very sweet on the nose.
Yeah, I think it's almost like a French vanilla sweetness. That's not like the only smell I pick up, but I can
Mhm.
definitely pick that out on its own.
I
get a lot of-
I actually like the nose a lot.
Yeah. A lot of fruit to it as well, like you were talking about, Ryan.
Yeah. Let's try a sip. Cheers.
That is way sweeter than I thought it would be off the nose. Much sweeter.
It is sweet.
This has a decadent feel to it, so I can see why
Yeah.
you've done some damage to the bottle.
It is good, man. I do
This
like
is
it.
great shit.
This is really good, isn't it?
It is.
It's very complex. There's a lot going on.
And
I should have bought
long
a few of
hug.
these bottles at the store.
Yes, you should have. Like that, it really warms your belly. Like really warms your belly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
long
it's like a
finish.
backhand heat. Long finish, yeah, and it's warm. Definitely a hug.
Like a
That stays
brandy
for a
warm.
while. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great comparison, actually. There's a lot of brandy quality to this.
There is. And like nothing warms my belly like brandy and cognac. And this is like right there as far as like warming my belly. And I got a big belly for it to warm, right? Like I call it my belly shelf because I can like set things on it. But it warms the whole goddamn thing up.
There's
Yeah,
a weird
very.
quality to this where I've had a couple things, like not only on this show, but just on my own. I've had several things that are higher proof than this, but this one is like a lip stinger. Like
Mhm.
there's definitely like a little buzz to it as soon as you put it in your mouth. And it's just, the whole experience is electric. It's just very, very strong throughout with a lot of pleasant flavors. A light taste, but heavy on the punch.
And it's weird. Like you swallow it and it's not like it hurts to drink. It's a nice burn. It's a nice long finish. It's good. I mean, vanilla, cherry, you do get some of that, that oak feel to it. It's like you said, Stephen, real decadent. It's right in my wheelhouse for sure.
That's a dangerous bottle right there. Like you're drinking something high proof. It doesn't hide behind the guys, listeners, when we're talking about it being decadent, it is. It's got a lot of sweetness to it. But when you drink it, you're drinking something that is high proof. You are well aware of it from start to finish. But it's so good that I could see myself just ignoring it and being like 2 or 3 glasses in and just suddenly I'm like knee walking drunk. Like because it's really tasty while I'm drinking it.
Dan, have you opened your other 1792?
My sweet wheat?
No, the foolproof that you just grabbed.
No, this one's unopened.
Okay, I'm curious about the cork because mine is very light. And this is like just a few
you know
ounces.
what? You're right. It's not as heavy as I remembered it being. Like my sweet wheat cork is not nearly as heavy as I thought it was.
Yeah, maybe older bottles they had a heavier cork.
Well, when I was over there looking a second ago, I think I realized my confusion. So this is Peerless, and Peerless has like that top. That's a heavier cork.
Okay.
So maybe I was thinking about the coloration.
That Peerless
As-
one is like a doorknob.
It is. Hey, you had this,
Yeah.
Steven.
Yeah, we cracked that right on the lake.
Yep, sure did.
I've never had Peerless.
It's good.
There another
Spoiler.
one thing about Peerless. I talk about it regularly in that this bottle is 110.6 proof. It hits me more like it's 130 proof. For some reason, that 110 in Peerless gets me a lot more drunk than a 110 typically does. And I don't know why. But only Peerless. Peerless is the only one that does that to me.
And
Some
correct me if
whiskeys
I'm
just
wrong,
do that, man. Some whiskeys just do that.
Mm-hmm.
isn't Peerless the only one along with Wilderness Trail that like doesn't use sour mash?
You are correct. They're amongst my favorites because they're like really pushing the science envelope. And
I
Yeah.
don't know, dude. The jury's still out on science. I see so many people with, right and left putting bumper stickers on their car of what they believe. Even sports teams, it's like there's too many whack jobs out there. I'm not going to let someone just destroy my car because I have a political sticker on it.
I just don't
Everyone
think
disagree. Like,
it doesn't
thanks.
really matter if I'm in front of you in traffic. Like, I don't think it's just a time to let you know what I believe one way or another. Like, who gives a shit? Even, I think that way, even honestly, about most, like, oh, I'm a fan of the Blues or whatever. It's just like, who gives a shit? It's like, we're fucking sitting here. If you do, like, a little cute thing, maybe to just, like, distract people in traffic, I think that can be cool. Like, there's somebody I saw that has, like, a Jason from Friday the 13th, like, they're like the back windshield is like they have like a wiper and it says like machete or whatever. It's like little stuff like that is kind of adds character, I guess, and just breaks up the monotony of traffic. But for the most part, just fuck off with. I don't care what radio station you listen to. I don't care any of that shit.
But I think if you like the one thing where that place where that changes, I think it seems to me like if you work for a small independent like coffee shop, you're required to have like 40 bumper stickers on your car.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the interview process. Like
Or
they
if you've
check
ever run ever in your life, you have to have like every time you've run proof of it. And it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
here's all the distances I've completed. Go
Yeah.
fuck
No one
yourself, you lazy piece
no
of
one-
shit.
No one cares about your marathon, you asshole. 13.1, 26.2. It's like, dude, who you bragging to? Nobody gives a shit.
If you run so much, why do you have a car?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If you're so fucking special, fucking here's your ASICs. Get going, bitch.
Or like having like, the pictures of the family, like mom, dad, and then the 3 kids. It's like, why would you want any psycho to know that you have 3 kids? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, oh man, I'm gonna be a creep with this family and follow them. No.
Have you ever seen a baby on board sign and been like, I should slow down?
Yeah.
No, not once.
Oh, how about signs in people's yards? Drive like your kids live here. That drives me nuts.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
am.
actually-
That's why I have
Yeah.
the blindfold on, okay? Thanks.
Yeah.
So football season starts this upcoming week.
It
and
does,
we all
yeah.
play fantasy football. So I'm
Hey,
curious.
Big Penn State win. Hold on. Big Penn State win on Saturday.
This
I don't
is
clap for pedophilia, dude.
this goes back to the bumper sticker thing, Dan. No one gives a shit.
Oh, but
this
suddenly
regard.
they care about fantasy football.
Yeah, they do. They do
Oh, okay.
care about
Okay.
fantasy
Yeah.
football.
I'm
We
so-
have
okay.
an avid fantasy football fan base, and so I just
Yeah.
wanted to.
Clearly. Yeah.
Who's the guys you guys are all counting on this year?
Another
for your
fantasy
teams?
football show debuting next week. So I had a draft today, and it was a snake draft. And last year I drafted first. Got Christian McCaffrey. He screwed me. So this year I was 10th, but then I had the 11th pick. So I went Saquon Barkley and then Travis Kelce, because I just couldn't let Kelce pass up because he puts up running back numbers. It's pretty insane. And I was going to draft Justin Herbert, but I decided Lamar Jackson just because of the rushing yards. But my sleeper, if he messes up, I feel like the league kind of knows what Lamar's all about now. If he struggles, I don't care about the interceptions. I'm putting Jameis Winston in because I know it's going to be like 400 yards every game, 4 touchdowns, and probably like 8 picks, but that doesn't matter. So I'm ready.
Yeah, I think
I believe in
Ryan
Jameis.
Fitzpatrick is another dark horse this year. He seemingly every year is, but I feel like he has more talent around him this year in Washington. So, but
You
then
grabbed him. Didn't you grab him
I
in our
didn't.
league?
No,
You didn't? Okay.
No, I took Ryan Tannehill. Like
that's who I was thinking.
in like
That's
a
okay.
later-ish round, because I love his weapons that he throws to.
I mean,
obviously,
They're
And then-
stacked now.
yeah.
So for the listeners out there, Steven and I have played in the same league together for 8-9 years now.
Yeah, at least.
I think this is our 9th year.
Yeah.
I think this is our 9th year. And it's a keeper league. It's essentially a dynasty league. We get to keep 3 players from one year to the next. And we didn't want Ryan to play with us this year. So we could have let him into the league, but we didn't want him in the league. So so he's still out, still on the outside looking in.
You know, I'm not going to play in a league that isn't a cash league. So I was glad because Steven's like, all we ask, I know it isn't you saying this. I know it was your idiot friend. But all we ask is your full participation. But like, I get it, you know, adjusting lineups, doing all that shit. But what really motivates people is money. So you guys should let him know. I've never done a keeper league. Usually just
It's a lot of
draft
fun.
every year.
To me, it's a lot of fun. I love it. I love the dynasty element, and I love that even if we're not the most competitive or like paid league, I love that every year it's kind of the same people and people kind of have their guys and everything. I do love that as much as I complain about like because it's so casual that it's like people can be kind of like homers and it's all in good fun. I give them shit because they definitely strengthen Dan's team every fucking year with terrible trades. But like, it's cool to me that a person can like Aaron Rodgers and take him on their team and keep him in spite of like how stupid that fucking move is.
Yeah.
Because people it's just a reason to love football and talk about football together.
I am having a little bit more yours. I'm not cracking open mine just because
I understand that, dude.
I had a lot of fucking open bottles.
You're gonna open them eventually, dude.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to open them eventually.
You know?
We got to have
I'd like to kill some of these open bottles that I already have open.
We need to have a barbecue and just kill some of these bottles for
Tear
you.
loose. We should do it. We should.
Who wants to start?
I'll start.
All right, let's go.
Hold on. Eight two. It's
8-2.
Yeah. It's a very it's heavy, it's potent, it's strong, a lot of alcohol, but it is packed with flavor. Just absolutely packed with flavor. You know you're drinking a high proofer, but not only do you know you're drinking a high proofer based on the alcohol, but from the just pop in your mouth consistently of different flavors. It's complex. It's got sweetness. It's got oakiness. It's got some baking spices. It's got different variations of sweetness to it. Like on the sides of my tongue, I'm getting more of like the fruits that you're talking about. In the center of my tongue, I'm getting the vanilla and the caramel. I'm getting cinnamon on the finish. It's just really, really good. Long finish. Nice warm hug. 8-2.
I'll go next because mine is real quick, I think. I was going to go with an 8.0 because I think that it's really solid. I like it a lot. But what keeps it out of the upper echelon for me is that although it's very flavorful and it's complex, there's no specific weird quality that I pick up that's super interesting about it. It's just really, really solid, and it's a great pick. It's a great bottle, but there's no like I won't think back to this bottle and remember like a super unique characteristic other than it just being very flavorful. So it's very good at what it does, but I'm not going to give it any more than an 8 right on the dot, which is a great score. But I can't give it any more than that because I just feel like it doesn't have that like specific differentiating factor for me. It's just very, very solid. It's exactly what you want if you're looking for a full proof. This is exactly what people look for whenever they're looking for a high proof bourbon.
Well, as Steven's favorite former president would say, this whiskey is terrific. I love it. It's decadent. The finish is great. It's very complex on the nose. It just, I mean, I had a sip like a minute ago and it feels like I just drank it. That dried cherry, it is fruity, but it's also decadent. You get that cinnamon, that vanilla, that caramel, but then oak too. And it's very complex. I'm going to go higher than both of you guys. I'm going to go an 8.8. It's right in my wheelhouse. I love this whiskey. I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. A lot of these store picks, you don't know how they're going to turn out. And this one hit the nail on the head. I loved it.
It is super important to note that this is a store pick. So if you grab a bottle off the shelf, we can't speak to whether or not it's going to be that 8.8, 8.2, or 8.0. It could be a 7.7. It could be a 7.5. But that store pick is a killer store pick. That's a really, like, whoever picked that from Jewel Osco did a great freaking job. Because that knocked it out of the park.
Another bourbon show. Another bourbon show.
Well, as Steven's favorite former president would say, this whiskey is terrific.